Welcome. Well, you are at home with Jim and Joy, and we're delighted that you have invited us into your living room. Well, you are an important part of the family, and we would love to hear from you. So give us a jingle at 205-271-2980 or call us toll-free, 1-800. They're not rolling the thing. There we go, 1-800-221-9460. Or you can always send us an email, jimandjoy@EWTN.com. I thought I had that memorized in my head. But anyway, we would love to hear from you. Well, Jim, I know that you have an important announcement for our family members at home.
I think the word's been getting out that Father Mitch suffered a heart attack on Saturday evening. He is responding very well to angioplasty. Father Mitch says, "This must be a sign that heaven doesn't want me and hell is afraid that I'll take it over." Typical Father Mitch. And boy, we knew we had to make that announcement. And I thought right before we went on, I said, you know what, I'm just so happy that he remains with us. And
yes.
I just couldn't bear thinking anything else but that. So thank God he's responding, he's doing well. I think he's going to be coming home, Lord willing, tomorrow. And so let's pray for Father Mitch. He's such a father of EWTN and such a good groom to the bride of Christ.
Yeah. Well, and when we heard that news, it was shocking.
It was.
We were like, what?
Yeah.
But yet again, it just, all of us at any moment, life is happening.
It's so nice that we could minister to Father Mitch in our prayers and in our love and just to do that for him and to cherish his life.
Yes. Well, and in cherishing life this weekend, we had a couple of the grands over. Yeah. We had a really good time. And
we had Prince Weekend. Prince Weekend. And you're the one that established Prince and Princess Weekend for our grandchildren. So we had Isaiah Pinto over. Right.
It was his time. And he decided he wanted his older brother to come. Right. Second he got in the car, he wanted to know if he was going to see the rest of his cousins. And so we invited one of his other cousins, Jude, to come with us.
It's always good to have those who've been princes before to help a new prince.
That's right.
We need that.
Right. And what we do as grandparents is we honor, celebrate, cherish, and adore just them for that weekend. Whatever they want to do, wherever they want to go, whatever they want to eat. And so Isaiah loves waffles and pancakes. And so we decided on the way after we picked him up, we met our son Matt and his beautiful wife Becky, and we scooped up Isaiah and we went to IHOP on a Friday night for supper. And it was just fun. And he had this fabulous stack of pancakes.
Smothered in what?
Sugar and sprinkles and whipped cream and then icing on them. I mean, it was a kid's delight.
You could barely see his face.
Yeah, so that was really fun. And then he wanted to go to the zoo, and we did the zoo, and there were dinosaurs at the zoo. Great time to come to Birmingham and do the Birmingham Zoo. Yeah. And we did that.
And then he just wants to play. So he did a lot of bike riding.
Right.
And we played basketball.
Right.
And he was with his other cousins.
Right. And we were playing baseball, and there we were out in the yard. And then I got to play 21 pickup with Raleigh, who beat me twice. And Nona has a really good free throw shot. Yeah. So I kind of didn't like that so much. But he beat me. He beat me fair and square, Raleigh, twice.
But these times are so special. If you have grandchildren, you might want to do that for your own grandkids. Have a special Prince, Princess Day, and just really affirm their lives individually and just give them everything they enjoy that day.
We did. And then their parents are always happy because they get a break having 2 less children in their house. So it was just really fun times to cherish with our beloved family members. And so today we're going to have a wonderful show in store for you. Now we have Dr. Theresa Deisher. Now, Dr. Deisher is the founder of AVM Biotechnology and Sound Choice Pharmaceutical Company, and she is also a molecular and cellular physiologist.
You did that very well.
And she's a beautiful woman. We got to have dinner with her last night, and she graduated from Stanford. And so today we're going to be talking about adult stem cell research. Right. And how the raging war of embryonic
stem cell,
right?
Adult stem cell. You know, Dr. Deisher is just such a reason for hope. I mean, she's brilliant, totally dedicated to the teaching of the church, the sacredness and dignity of the human person, really uncovering some great research and possible applications of adult stem cells that could revolutionize healthcare. And she's one of us.
Yes.
I mean, she's a pro-life scientist, brilliant, and a crusader for life.
Right. And we are privileged to have her on our show today. And so she's going to unpack all of that for us. Maybe you've heard some things in the media and you don't know what's real, what's true, what's right. And we always tell you at EWTN, you're going to get the truth. You can trust the message and the messenger. It's all going to be wonderful. So don't go away. We'll be right back, and we'll have more with Dr. Theresa Deisher when we come back. Welcome back. Well, you are at home with Jim and Joy. And just like I promised, we have Dr. Theresa Deisher. And she's the founder of AVM, Biotechnology, and Sound Choice Pharmaceutical Institute. That all sounds like a lot. She also is a doctor in molecular and cellular psychology, physiology, and she graduated from Stanford. She's absolutely a beautiful lady. She's our new friend. We had dinner with her last night and some of her other friends. And we got to learn about you, and we really want you to share with our family at home how you became this research scientist. When did you get started, and how did this come upon you? Was it something you chose? You really felt gifted? What was going on in your beautiful life?
I have always enjoyed science and math, and my family has been in the medical field on both sides of the family, both my mother's and my father's. Okay. I had my first job when I was 13 years old, working in an oncology office, very famous Seattle oncology office, working in the lab, and I was hired by one of my mother's friends. So that was my first, real job in the scientific area. And then through college and high school, I continued to work in science at the University of Washington in the outpatient clinics and at Swedish Hospital in the pathology lab, and also as a phlebotomist. I was groomed all my life by my mom's mom to be an MD. I was told all my life, and I was told I would go to Stanford. So it's a good thing they accepted me.
Right.
Because I did what my grandmother said.
Because your grandmother was bringing you in anyway.
Right, exactly. And then I turned quite rebellious. And I decided not to be an MD, but to be a scientist. And the reason I decided to do that was working in Swedish Hospital, drawing blood. The phlebotomist draws blood, and I oftentimes did the ICUs and whatnot. I would become quite emotionally attached to some of the patients, especially those who were there alone and had no visitors. And I would spend my breaks and my lunchtime sometimes just sitting with them, chatting with them, and became too emotionally involved. I don't think that's a good thing for a doctor to become too emotionally involved, not for the patients and not for the doctor. So I decided I didn't actually want to take care of sick people, but I would like to discover treatments that could help them. And so I chose science, a PhD instead.
So share with us further about your career path. You're speaking about internships and helping out here and there. And then where were you employed, the companies you've been with, why it led to the development of your own company?
I have spent my career after graduate school in commercial biotechnology, and I have been blessed to work for the largest and most successful biotech companies out there, including Genentech and Immunex and Amgen. I also worked at two other companies, one in Cambridge, Massachusetts called Repligen, and then Zymogenetics in Seattle, Washington. And I was also blessed to be able to work very broadly from basic bench discoveries all the way into clinical development with the programs that I was involved with. So how did I come to be where I am now? Well, starting in the mid to late 1990s, the use of aborted fetal material began to be introduced to research. And in the commercial world, it's predominantly introduced as cell lines that you can purchase to do research with, or what we call gels, where material from the aborted babies is included on the gels for information purposes, like where we're looking at gene expression and protein expression. And I was actually sort of called to task by a research associate. And I was going to purchase some of that material because I'd been told it was from miscarriages. And it would have made my job much more convenient to be able to buy a human heart cell line. And so I presented it to my group, and one of my research associates said, "How can you be so gullible?" And that really gave me pause. And so I began to investigate. And of course, as she was pointing out to me, it wasn't material from miscarriages. It was material from electively aborted babies. And as these materials became more and more pervasive, I said to colleagues, someone needs to do something about this. There's no reason that this should be used. Someone just needs to form a company and give alternatives.
And so how did they respond? Were they supportive of that? They thought, that's a great idea. We shouldn't be doing this. How did you find the culture of the moral and ethical values of other companies?
Well, my colleagues are much smarter than I am, and so they said no thank you. They didn't want to do it. And eventually I realized that I was being called. I was the one to be called to do that. And I had never wanted to form a company or do anything like this. And when you realize God is calling you, you have to respond to the call.
When you say this isn't necessary, the embryonic fetal matter or lines, that it isn't necessary, we hear that it is necessary. We hear that this offers the greatest hope in numerous ways. So when you say it isn't necessary, do you mean morally or scientifically?
Scientifically. It's never necessary, it's never justified. For example, in defense of the practices, the first issue that people want to bring up is vaccines. And they claim that the use of aborted fetal cell lines has contributed to the development of vaccines that have saved so many lives. Well, scientists chose to use the aborted fetal cell lines to manufacture those vaccines. However, at the same time, other scientists chose to use animal cell lines to make the same vaccines that are just as effective and in most cases safer than the vaccines that are made in aborted fetal cells. So that's quickly debunked, and then from there they go on to make all sorts of additional claims, and you can take them apart one by one. There's always an alternative. And in some cases, the research that they're doing, you look at it and you say, why are you doing that? We've known that for decades. We know it from actually in utero examinations as the baby develops in utero. Why do we possibly need to harvest the bodies of aborted babies just to confirm what we've known for decades in animals and what we've learned from sonography?
That's a good question. Why? Why are they so adamant about embryos and fetuses and their matter? I mean, what is behind that? What's the root of that? Because I hear you saying it's dangerous, it's not effective. Why do they continue to pursue this?
I think there are several reasons. As a scientist, I can say this, but you can't say this. Some scientists have a bit of a godlike complex. Okay. And they don't want to be told what they can or what they cannot do. So that's one reason. I think another reason is that some scientists look at the material almost as if it's sort of a new, cool play toy. And clearly they're not really thinking, or they wouldn't act like that. Most people, when called to task, I think will step back and say, oh, that's really not respectful to the dignity of a human body. And there is also, I think most importantly, the desire to clone. And the use of embryonic stem cells justifies continuing harvesting of women's eggs. and those eggs are required for cloning. So it's kind of a racket built up so that the cloning continues to go on. Now, in countries like the UK, where they didn't get involved in these religious or moral debates, they do the smart thing. They treat patients with adult stem cells, and they do their animal-human hybrid cloning and other experiments, right? That's clearly what the drive is to work with embryonic stem cells. But here in the United States, where morals still prevail, I think that the embryonic stem cell proponents have really had to pull the wool over the eyes of the public, and they promised outrageous promises that it actually absolutely unconscionable that they tricked taxpayers out of their money with promises that they knew were false.
So why don't, for our family at home, why don't you say some of the things that they promised? Because there is. I mean, you do feel like the wool's been pulled over and you're being tricked, because there's this message that embryonic stem cell research is the cure-all of everything, and we need to fund it. We all need to get behind it. We all need to get over it, and it is. It's like, don't tell me what to do. I am who I am, and I know so much more about you. But what are some of the things that they promised?
Well, they promised cures for every disease. And what's interesting, if you step back and you look at it logically, and let's just take the science, the stem cell science out of it for a minute. But an embryonic stem cell is taken from an early embryo, and the job of that embryo, those early cells, are to form all the cells of the body.
Is that called pluripotent?
They're called pluripotent. And in contrast, what is one of the best kept secrets in the United States, we all have adult stem cells in our body that help us repair and regenerate on a daily basis. So if we compare embryonic to adult stem cells, it would be like calling in, to use embryonic stem cells would be like calling in a general contractor to unclog your kitchen sink. And this is an example I'm stealing from my colleague, Dr. James Shirley, who was one of the plaintiffs in the federal lawsuit that halted embryonic stem cell funding temporarily. And actually,
were you a plaintiff in that
James
as well?
and I were both plaintiffs in that, which is how I got to know him.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. So that cell, that is a general contractor, right? And yes, that cell can unclog your kitchen sink, but he's a general contractor by nature, and you can't take that nature out of him.
I did that very thing.
Right?
With a plumber, yeah.
Well, so he might unclog your sink, but you might not appreciate the marble staircase and the windows that he puts down in the middle of your kitchen because he's a general contractor, right? And he's very, very expensive. If you want your sink unclogged, you call a plumber. That's the adult stem cell. And the adult stem cell is going to do what you want, and they're not going to form tumors.
Right.
Like the embryonic stem cells do. And that's the marble staircase and the glass that they want to put down in your kitchen. Those cells are so primitive.
They're like wild.
When we take them out of the environment of an embryo, we do not know how to control their growth, and we cannot, and we never will be able to.
Wow, powerful. So now, tell us more about the establishing of your company and the uniqueness of it. What distinguishes it? What is its mission? What are its goals? What makes it unique? Who's a part of it? Those kind of things. So we're hearing the bad news on one end of people that are so pushing embryonic stem cell research, but tell us about what you've established.
Well, the good news is that we don't have to sit back and allow people to push embryonic stem cells. So my approach as a commercially trained scientist is, let's beat them in the clinic, right? We don't want to see embryonic stem cells and aborted fetal stem cells pushed on the public, and they'll never be safe and they'll never be affordable, but people will continue to push them. But if we want to get rid of all that, we need to provide something better. And so our focus has been based on business models like companies like Amgen, where I have worked previously. We're going to develop the drugs that make adult stem cells work optimally. Okay? Many people might have heard of Amgen. They have drugs called Neupogen and Neulasta. People don't know that Amgen's a stem cell company, but they don't sell any stem cells.
Right.
They sell the drugs that tell blood-forming stem cells how to move through the body. And so I formed AVM Biotechnology to discover and develop the drugs that make regenerative medicine stem cells move through the body and target to damaged organs so that we can make adult stem cells deliver their full promise.
So you're kind of, once you learn what works, you're developing the play, like a football play to score, and you're giving that to someone else to actually apply it, the plan.
Exactly. It's sort of analogous to software programs, right? The hardware is the stem cells, and the hardware is the computers or the laptops, and they worked before we had all of the software, but they didn't work like they do after we have the software. So we're developing the software that's going to make all that hardware work. And by making adult stem cells reach their full potential, no one is going to want to have an embryonic stem cell or an aborted fetal stem cell when they can have an adult stem cell that's safe, that's more effective, and that's affordable. Everyone's going to choose the right thing. They just need the choice.
Right. And the beautiful thing, as you're sharing, so it's just a lie. It's just a straight out lie, and it's being marketed and targeted, and it's just like abortion. Abortion's great for women. Women need abortion. Women need contraception. We all need, as a society, embryonic stem cell. We need to fund it in research, and it's just more of the lie that and as an innocent, you're like, I need that, but then we have to be informed, right? And we have to have people like you that are stepping up to the plate, that are exposing the lie, not just in word, but in saying, I have an alternative. I'm going to beat them in research at the game and say, these are the facts, and this is what we can do. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we will have more of this wonderful conversation with Dr. Theresa Deisher. So don't go away. We'll be right back. And when we come back, we want to make sure that you're a part, and so give us a jingle. We'd love to hear from you. Welcome back. Well, you're at home with Jim and Joy, and we would love to hear from you. So give us a jingle at 205-271-2980 or call 1-800-221-9460. You can always send us an email, jimandjoy@EWTN.com.
Well, Dr. Deisher, I really want to get into the good part. So you're doing research on adult stem cells. What are you finding? What's the hope?
Well, there's great hope. And as I mentioned, our focus has been to discover and develop the drugs that tell adult stem cells how to move through the body. And what we've been able to do is discover how to control that, and we're working on developing our first small molecule, hoping to be in clinical trials within 12 months. And what we've been able to do in animal models from mice, rats, dogs, swine, and horses is treat animals who previously did not respond to adult stem cells by pretreating with our compound, and have seen dramatic benefits in osteoarthritis and in tendon repair in horses. Independent labs have published with our methods, extremely exciting data in kidney failure, and heart failure, and liver failure, and in full thickness wound repair. So our technologies can be applied theoretically to any disease, to any stem cell, and to any means of administering the stem cell. I think that's very exciting. But what's also very exciting is that there are genetic diseases that are theoretically curable with stem cells, like muscular dystrophy. But the problem is, right now, without our compound, they have to inject the stem cells directly into each muscle. Well, there are hundreds of muscles in our body, and it's just not possible to do that. Our compound allows stem cells to be given intravenously so that we can deliver them to the whole body and open up the opportunities to effectively treat, if not cure, genetic diseases like muscular dystrophy.
So when you inject these adult stem cells into the body, what is your research finding in terms of them going where they need to go and not going where they don't need to go? I mean, do they just know where to go, or are they being locked up in some places or overdosing in some areas? I mean, how does it work?
Well, excellent question. And the system has been designed specifically so that stem cells aren't just randomly moving through the body, because we don't want stem cell activity going on if we don't need it. And it turns out, and this was first actually discovered in the 1960s, so it goes way back to the 1960s, and I was aware of it because I postdoced in hematology at the University of Washington after my graduate work. But the spleen is a sink and a reservoir for stem cells, and they all want to go there to the spleen. So what we need to do if we want stem cells to go to a diseased or damaged organ is our small molecule just temporarily blocks that, all right? So we're overriding the natural system for a short period of time, and we can get up to 30-fold more stem cells to go to a target organ. That dramatically increases the percentage response. We actually have 100% positive response in our horse studies, and it dramatically improves the functional outcome by doing that.
Well, that is a phenomenal, breathtaking finding, which we hope will translate into human beings.
That's the goal, obviously, and we're moving there as rapidly as we can. There are so many people, desperate for stem cell cures. That's why they want to reach to embryonic. We have to bring them something better, and we're moving as fast as we can so that our loved ones can be treated.
Amen.
Wonderful. We're going to go straight to an email. It says, how are stem cells extracted from adults? Can I donate my stem cells to help my family or others? And this is James from New York.
Absolutely, he could donate his stem cells to help his family or others. There are some companies who take donations. Stem cells are found in every organ of our body, but the most accessible sources of stem cells are our bone marrow, our blood, and in order to get stem cells from blood, we do what's called mobilizing stem cells, and our fat tissue. I actually like that, liposuction and stem cell extraction, right? I'm going for the fat tissue extraction. So if someone had a heart attack or whatever and they needed stem cells to help repair their heart, they could have bone marrow withdrawn. And then that bone marrow concentrated and injected so that it would be directly injected into the heart or in the circulation so that it would reach their heart to facilitate repair and recovery from that heart attack.
We hear a lot about umbilical cord preservation and so on. What is that about? What does that do?
Umbilical cord blood is collected and preserved largely as a source of donations for bone marrow transplants, right? And then there are different types of stem cells found actually in the, not the blood, but the cord itself, that people are extracting and developing as a stem cell that would be what we call an off-the-shelf product, a stem cell in a vial. And you would order it, right, and use that. In general, whenever we can use a patient's own stem cells, that's always going to be better for the patient. There are cases where that's not going to be possible, and that's why those off-the-shelf, stem cell in a vial products are going to be so important to have.
Well, I'm just amazed at, your mind and your intensity and your great passion with all of this, but tell us about your spiritual journey on this road. Like, obviously there was great formation in you, and you know, your spiritual side coming out and trumping even over your science of it all, because your body, mind, and spirit. And God gave you, obviously, your beautiful intellect. And what was your response to the Lord in all of this process?
Well, I must admit that my response was not very good early on in my life. Actually, I was raised Catholic. I'm a cradle Catholic. And my mother was always very Catholic, very pro-life. I had two aunts who were very active in Planned Parenthood, and I think really began working on me and trying to brainwash me early in life. And they would refer to the unborn babies as a space alien. So I actually had an experience working in the pathology lab where a miscarried baby came through the lab. And to my shock, it looked just like a space alien. And I was responding emotionally and not logically. And I thought, oh, my mom's not been telling the truth. My aunts have been telling the truth. That's a space alien. And I literally threw my faith in the garbage can. And science really became my God. And it was subsequently doing anatomy as a graduate student, and we have to work with donated cadavers. And when the cadaver was first opened up, well, they've all been fixed in formalin or preserved in formalin, and they really do look like space aliens. I don't know if anyone's seen the show, Bodies, where they come around with the bodies, but they don't look human. And so I realized, oh my gosh, what a terrible emotional decision I had made when that miscarried baby came through, because of course it didn't look like a human. It had been fixed in formalin, and that changes the appearance. And that was sort of the light turning on for me. And then it was a long, torturous road back. But what really brought me back fully to the faith was the stem cell issue. And as a scientist, some parts of the Bible just don't really seem so logical. They seem a little bit out there. But what I experienced in the stem cell field, particularly from embryonic stem cell proponents, who were so irrationally and viciously angry that a scientist would stand up and say, no, adult stem cells are scientifically and clinically better. That hostility and viciousness and their behavior was so irrational, they actually started to make the Bible look pretty good. And that helped me actually come back and really begin to learn about my faith and embrace my faith.
Well, you've mentioned just a few areas in terms of your scientific research and this whole area that you're unlocking, literally, regarding the spleen and that holding the cells there and developing something that could say release and go where you're supposed to go. I can't speak in scientific terms.
That's
and that's
good.
pretty amazing. Was this just all scientific revelation? Do you pray about the work that you do? How does your faith play into that? Do you have some favorite saints, or how does this all work together, or does it?
Well, I think it all does, and I think faith and science are very compatible. So there's no disconnect between my faith and science. I think it actually helps me be a better scientist. But in founding the company, I was going to found an ethical company. We were going to work on adult stem cells. There's a difference between an ethical company and a pro-life company, such as the one that I ultimately founded. An ethical company tries to do the right thing, but there's no guarantee. Whereas the pro-life company that I founded guarantees that we will not work with morally illicit material at any step in the process from any source, whether it's embryonic stem cells, aborted babies, organs or materials or cells from impoverished people, immigrants, refugees, and so many people don't know about the black market throughout the world, getting organs and tissues from these vulnerable people, really to promote the interests of the powerful and the wealthy. So we make that pledge. We are going to be not just ethical, but we're going to be moral, and we're going to respect human life at all stages.
Yeah, this reminds us of what's going on with David Daleiden in terms of his undercover work and exposing Planned Parenthoods, either selling or trafficking in these body parts. So that's a part of what your company stands clearly against. You will not traffic in anything. You will not do harm. Almost sounds like the Hippocratic Oath in terms of any human being.
But they don't take that anymore in the
Right.
U.S., right?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, it was reading an article about Sound Choice and AVM Biotechnology that opened David Daleiden's eyes to what's going on. He had never heard about any of this, and he called me after he read that article and said, "I've never heard about this, explain how, what's happening and how this works." And it was our existence that led him to begin that expose of Planned Parenthood and the harvesting and trafficking in aborted baby body parts.
And all the knowledge you were able to share with them.
Yeah. And you need the language, you need to know what's going on, you need to speak to these people. What are they looking for? Why are they looking for it? Why are they looking for embryos or fetuses at various stages of development? What are they going to use their matter for? And it just seems bizarre and surreal that we're even speaking this way, because each one of these little people are the apple of God's eye. And that's really, when we get down to it, that's really what's going on. I mean, they're really human, they're really being killed. It's not enough that we even kill them, we're trafficking in them. I mean, how terrible. But a lot of us are ignorant, we don't see, but you're really quite prophetic in your work and opening up our eyes to it.
Well, now we know, and I mean, this illustrates the point that we all know. A picture's worth 1,000 words. So I've been talking about this for, 8-9 years now, and the pictures are what are really opening people's minds. What I say to people when I talk to them about this is, it doesn't matter whether the Planned Parenthood's behavior is legal or illegal. It is beneath the dignity of a civilized society to traffic in the baby body parts. It shouldn't matter whether someone is pro-choice because of, let's just say, misplaced compassion and empathy for a woman, because abortion has not been good for women. Nobody wants to take that, skeleton out of the closet, but that is the truth. But for, false, misleading compassion, they want to say abortion should be legal. But this practice is beneath the dignity of a civilized society. And people sometimes kind of suggest that I'm regressive, that I've got to get with the program. And, I ask them, what is progressive about chopping up the body of a human baby to be, delivered to a lab to do research on, so that we don't use mice and rats? That's not progressive. There's nothing progressive in what's being done.
We're going to go straight to an email. And says, "Dear Dr. Deisher's company, is Dr. Deisher's company a public holding? I would like to buy stock in her company if it's public on the stock market." And this is Robert from Texas.
Well, Robert from Texas, thank you for that question. We are currently a privately held company. We are doing our Series C investment round. We limit investment opportunities to like-minded investors who share our commitment to not doing anything to encourage the exploitation of another human being, embryonic stem cell, aborted fetal cells, or whatnot, and who share our passion for a lucrative investment based on moral activities. That is not available to the general public because of SEC rules and regulations. We do envision a public offering in the future. And I think that would be a really exciting public offering, a company that does not use any morally illicit materials. So,
Do you have some closing thoughts just for all of our viewers out there regarding their attempts to stand for the gospel of life and kind of being shouted down by other people, or people act towards them as if they're just kind of ignorant people if they promote adult stem cells, and what would you say to them to encourage them?
I would say stand by your faith, stand by your morals. And the two most controversial public areas of science today are related to aborted fetal stem cells and embryonic stem cells. That's the regenerative medicine field of stem cells themselves and vaccines. Because some of our vaccines are manufactured using aborted fetal cell lines, all right? These are complicated issues. And, I don't understand engineering. I could never understand engineering fully, but I might learn something about a building I took on tour, right? And I could share that with someone. But the details, I'd refer to the engineers, right? And so this is what I say to people. Stand by your faith. Amen. Your faith and your science are completely compatible. Don't be afraid of being called regressive, because there's nothing progressive about what the other side is doing, and just send the scientific questions to me.
Well, Dr. Deisher, thank you so much for your commitment to Christ and to the truth, and for encouraging us today. God bless you and your great work.
God bless you too. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you. It's a
Thank
privilege.
you.
It was really fun.
Well, and you could go to her website. It's avmbiotech.com or soundchoice.org, and you could be in contact with Dr. Deisher. When we come back, we'll have Father Joseph with us, so don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Well, you're an important part of the family, and we would love to have you join us here on At Home. All you have to do is contact the Pilgrimage Department. You could do that by emailing pilgrimages@ewtn.com, or you give them a call at 205-271-2966. Alabama is absolutely beautiful, and you can include the shrine in that trip, and you can go and visit with Mother. So that would be absolutely beautiful.
I was just thinking they could have met a world-renowned scientist, pro-life scientist. You could have been with her here today.
See, you missed it. You should have been here in Alabama. And so we've really, if you're thinking about it, maybe it's on your list of things to do. We certainly know from Father Mitch, none of us are promised tomorrow, and we're so glad that Father Mitch survived his heart attack. But get it on your list and come on down and see us. Now, Father, welcome to At Home with Jim and Joy, and give us an update on Father Mitch.
Yeah, so I stopped by the hospital this morning to see Father Mitch, and he's doing well. He's tired, I think, because going through that trauma, it's going to take him a little while to recover, but he's recovering, responding very well to the angioplasty that he had. So it's just going to take him a little time and patience, like we're saying. He's going to learn a new virtue.
Yeah. And what happens is what we found out when Jim had his heart attack, there's a new normal. And he will find it.
Was Father Mitch ever normal?
Well, he's off the normal radar anyway, but somewhere he'll find a new normal. We have to go straight to Rome and hear from Joan. Joan, what do you have for us today?
Well, greetings from Rome to all of you at home. Now, the obvious focus of today's show has to be the Pope's amazing visit Saturday to the Greek island of Lesbos, where he met with quite a number of refugees. And as a matter of fact, he made headlines around the world because he brought 3 refugee families back to Rome. Now, he spoke of this Sunday at the Regina Coeli, and he said, "I brought the solidarity of the church to the refugees and to the Greek people." He was joined in Lesbos, of course, by Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew I and by Archbishop Hieronymus of Athens and all Greece. And the Pope recalled Sunday his visit to one of the refugee camps where he and the 3 religious leaders met with about 300 refugees from very different parts of the world. And the Pope noted how some of the refugees so many of them, he said, were young children. And he noted how a lot of them had actually witnessed the deaths of their parents and even close friends. "I saw so much sorrow," said Francis. And he also recounted the story, and you could hear the sorrow in his voice, of a young Muslim man with 2 children whose Christian fiancé was killed by terrorists because she refused to renounce her faith and deny Jesus. And Pope Francis said, she is a martyr. Now, on the flight back to Rome, the Pope told the journalist the families chosen to come to Rome on the papal plane were Muslim because they had all their papers in order. No Christian families had their papers in order. The Pope said the decision was the fruit of a last-minute inspiration of one of his collaborators about a week ago in Rome. Everything was arranged according to the rules. They have their documents. The Holy See, the Greek government, and the Italian government have checked everything. They've been welcomed by the Vatican, and with the aid of the Sant'Egidio community, they will be searching for work. So a powerful, wonderful story, but time's up as usual, so back to you at home.
Thank you so much, Joan. A wonderful, powerful, troubling report of faith from there in Rome. Father, it's always wonderful to have you with us. You've been a busy guy since you've been back on site here in Irondale, haven't you?
Yes, it's been busy. It's been busy, but it's been a comfort to be a comfort to others, to bring the comfort of Jesus to Jack Williams when he lost his wife. And tonight we have a rosary, and then her funeral is tomorrow. But it's a beautiful death when it's a beautiful passing with the Lord. You know, when you receive the sacraments, like one of the things that we used to say, and we still say it in one of the litanies, is from unprovided death, deliver me, O Lord. That we want to receive the sacraments, to have the assistance of the church when we come to the end of our lives, and that's really a happy death, if we have that assistance at the end of our lives. And then to be with Father Mitch too, and to see, you know, his humor, like you mentioned at the beginning of the show, how he can rise above, you know, this too, and I'm sure he will ultimately.
Times like this just make you. We don't want to build him up too much because he's still with us, you know. But I mean, everybody is unique and irreplaceable. And I mean, just if we would have woken up, you know, Sunday morning and heard, we don't have him tangibly with us. We know that's heaven's gain. But we just have to make the most of the time with every person and say, wow, they're just irreplaceable in terms of the humor, the brilliance, whatever makes that person up. And the thing about Father Mitch is, you know, he's so bright in so many areas, but I've been with him, you know, when he has said, I don't know about that. You know, he just doesn't totally know, and I'm kind of like surprised, but he's like, he's not surprised that he doesn't know. I know this, that, but I don't know these things, I just don't know. And thank God that he is still with us and for your ministry. You mentioned Susie Williams, whose husband works here at EWTN, and we go to the same parish, the Cathedral of St. Paul's, and we recently sent her a prayer card, and she came up to us. It was the Easter Vigil.
Easter Vigil.
She was so weak, but she was at Mass at the Easter Vigil. And she came up behind us. We were just sitting in the pew, and she just came up behind Joy and put her arm around Joy and just thanked her for that. I mean, she got up to thank us for this prayer card. And the Williams are usually the last family to get up off their knees after Mass. You know, so many people are running out, always on their knees, you know. And we didn't know them all that well, but the impression they left is just so powerful. So powerful.
You know, I was thinking in all of the things what Dr. Deisher was saying, as well as what Joan was just talking about and what we're talking about, it reminded me of Joseph Pieper's book on love. He was a Thomist philosopher, and he said something that I never forgot. He said, when God created, he created everything out of love, and he found it very good. And whenever we look at human life, whether it's the little embryo in a mother's womb or the adult, you know, who's suffering, and we look at that and we say, it's good that you exist. By loving them, we are continuing God's work of creation, because it's affirming that person in their goodness, what God has already affirmed by creating them. When, on the other hand, you use people, you misuse people, as the embryonic stem search does, then you're saying the opposite, really. You're saying, we don't want you to exist, or we want to use you for our own advantage. So we're called to do that work, continue that work of God's creation, how good it is you exist.
And it's so true, because, I mean, we see it too at the center, and the baby is like a product. you know, ensure in embryonic stem cell research, you know, that this is a good. Well, no, it's a human being, you know, and we've lost our way. And thank God for women and men like Dr. Deisher, who stands up and say no, and defends the culture of life against all the forces of hell and darkness and the culture of death.
Dr. Deisher said it, you know, when she addressed everyone out there. You know, it's like, be strong, be courageous. The truth is on your side. God is on your side. And it sounds a lot like John Paul II. He says, don't be afraid to share the gospel of life. It's already written upon the heart of the person. They may be denying it, or it's suppressed, or the culture's against it. Somewhere that's in there, because they're made in the image and likeness of God. And as you declare it, it'll be called forth from them. You can hold it up before them and say, this is what you're made for.
And Christianity always elevates a culture.
Yes.
So we have a culture of scientific research, of advance in medicine and so on. You know, none of us would want to go back 200 years to be treated by the medical, you know, field at that time. So we're happy about those medical advances, and yet Christianity keeps it on the right course, so that it's truly elevated for the good of the human person.
Which is so important.
Well, you've really helped us to understand better at EWTN that we are a family. As Mother Angelica always said, we are a family. The joys, the sorrows, the proclamation, the resistance, we're truly family, and God prevails. Give us a blessing, Father.
May the Lord bless you and keep you. Let his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord give you peace, the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Thank you so much for being with us this day. Remember that every Catholic is called to be an evangelist of human dignity. You're sent by God to evangelize this world. God bless you, and all of your loved ones. Keep it on EWTN. Bye now.